a grandmother who has been advocating for others her entire life. She now needs our help because she has been evicted. Put up our dear sister full man. Back in 2024, we reported on a family in Mobile, Alabama, who were evicted after allegedly making multiple attempts at settling the debt owed. Dorothy Gaines, the grandmother to the family, was a resident at that same apartment complex. She had attempted to help resolve the issue on behalf of her granddaughter and daughter-in-law. The lawyers of Ann's Place apartment rejected any payment effort, and a judge sided with evicting the family. Now, years later, that same complex, after evicting her granddaughter and daughter-in-law, they are now evicting Ms. Gaines. And she needs our help, and she will get it. I want to give you some background on Ms. Gaines. We call superheroes like her, these are unsung heroes. You may have never heard of her, but she has dedicated her life to make sure that we can have one. Dorothy Gaines is a widow, raising her younger sister and brother and her own 3 children in Mobile, Alabama. She was a nurse technician, PTA parent also. 1994, she found herself sentenced to 19 years and 7 months in federal prison. In 1993, the Alabama State Police raided Gaines' home looking for drugs, but none were found. The charges were dropped. A year later, federal drug dealers, desperate to reduce their own sentencing, lied and named Gaines an accomplice in their sale of crack cocaine. She insisted she was completely innocent. The allegation was the only evidence against Gaines, simply someone saying it. Moreover, the court-appointed lawyer failed to cross-examine them to raise a defense. When sentenced, Gaines' 9-year-old son, Philip, jumped in the judge's lap and begged the judge not to take away his mother. During Gaines' first year in prison, her son, Philip, attempted to unalive himself 3 times. Her eldest daughter, Natasha, had to drop out of nursing school to help take care of the brother. Philip, who was once an honor roll student, became a 9th grade dropout. Has been convicted of cocaine possession and robbing 2 men at a gas station. He is now serving 20 years for being found guilty of second-degree robbery and is leaving behind a 9-year-old child himself. I bring this to your attention because we are aware of the break. Where did the break happen? There's more. Dorothy Gaines continued to maintain her innocence while she was in prison. She wrote a letter a day for 6 years when she finally caught the attention of a civil rights advocate. Soon, she gained media attention and finally President Clinton's in 2000. President Clinton commuted her sentence, which allowed her to finally go home to her family. However, Dorothy Gaines still had a record. She struggled to find work with a felony conviction. Why did Clinton do that? Because after review by his team, they knew she was innocent. But the politics of it is easier to commute rather than for pardon. At least that was the thinking back then by the conservative Bill Clinton. I said it intentionally. I said it the right way. Gaines continues her fight. And she fights for others in the prison system, other women like her who have been either wrongly accused or given sentencing far exceeding the crime. She advocates by sharing her story at lobby day events, schools, and churches. She also counsels the families that are waiting for their loved ones to return. In addition, she has created her own curriculum. It's called Holding the Bag for public schools, which teaches youth to be cautious about taking on others' belonging. Quote, my going to prison has not been in vain, said Gaines. Quote, I will fight until everything has been changed. Ms. Gaines is a disabled grandmother who has spent her life advocating for us. She is now without a home. We want to change that. I'm asking everyone who sees this to contribute to her GoFundMe so she can find a place that is handicap accessible. It makes no damn sense in a country this wealthy that someone who has dedicated their life to what life is about, and that is service to others, has to be in this position. But I promise you, as long as I'm in this position, we will do what we can. All right. Was.
Incredible cause. Obviously, this is somebody that should be venerated in our society and not be in the struggle for their lives to achieve housing. We talk about prison reform and stuff like that. I think what it's really about is stopping the discrimination against people who've been convicted of crimes in
Right.
housing,
That's
in
right.
employment, in healthcare, you name it. These folks don't deserve to be discriminated against. I hope that she's able to get the help she needs and that people can find some generosity within their hearts to help her and her family out.
Well said. Let's put that GoFundMe back up, Jordan. I want to remind others, everyone, allies, those that have been adversely impacted by the criminal justice system, like yours truly. There's a movement to make those who are formerly incarcerated a protected class. That is because, based on statistical data, they face the same, if not worse, polarization than individuals face for the color of their skin in some cases. If they qualify for the job, in other words, if the crime is not a disqualifying, they've served their time. They shouldn't have to check that box to discriminate against themselves again. Society discriminates against the formerly incarcerated. It has to stop. Why? They still pay taxes. They're still part of the fabric of our societal construct, and they're human beings. They're human beings. Now, if the government would prefer they not pay taxes nor participate um, in the giving back for the work that they put in, well, so be it. But as long as they pay taxes, they have a right at the table.